Sometimes in the NFL, the loudest conversations happen in complete silence. When a franchise quarterback who just led his team to historic heights suddenly becomes the subject of whispered speculation, when a contract extension worth over $200 million doesn't silence the doubters, when the very foundation of a championship-contending roster gets questioned behind closed doors. Welcome to Lions News Fan Report, your destination for the most comprehensive coverage, breaking updates, and insider analysis of our beloved Detroit Lions. I'm bringing you something today that's been circulating in league circles, a development that nobody saw coming just months ago, and a scenario that could fundamentally reshape everything we thought we knew about this team's trajectory. Stay locked in, because what I'm about to unpack will challenge everything you believe about where this franchise is headed. Let me take you back to March 2021. The Detroit Lions made one of the most franchise-altering decisions in their history, trading Matthew Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks, and a third-rounder. At the time, the reaction was mixed. Stafford had been the face of the franchise for 12 seasons, and many questioned whether Goff could fill those massive shoes. The skeptics were loud, the doubters were everywhere, and the pressure on both the organization and Goff himself was immense. Fast forward to today, and the transformation has been nothing short of remarkable. The Lions finished 3-13-1 in 2021, but since then, we've seen 3 consecutive winning seasons, 9-8 in 2022, 12 wins in 2023, and a franchise-best 15-2 record in 2024. We won our first home playoff game at Ford Field in the 2023 postseason. We've secured back-to-back NFC North titles, and we're legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Jared Goff has been instrumental in this resurgence, posting elite quarterback numbers and proving every single doubter wrong. Dan Campbell recently reflected on that blockbuster trade, and his words were telling. He emphasized how fortunate the Lions are to have Goff, how the deal brought us Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and other key pieces, and how it feels like a win for both franchises. The Rams got their Super Bowl LVI championship with Stafford, and the Lions got the foundation for sustained success. It seemed like the perfect ending to a story that benefited everyone involved, but here's where things get complicated, and this is where I need you to really pay attention. In May 2024, the Lions signed Goff to a massive 4-year extension worth $212 million with $212 million with $170 million guaranteed. That contract made him one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the NFL and seemed to cement his future in Detroit through at least 2027, with an option for 2028. It was a definitive statement from the organization. Jared Goff is our guy. He's the cornerstone of this franchise, and we're building around him for the long haul. That extension included some clever structuring that would help the Lions sign future stars like Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, and Sam Laporta to extensions when their time comes. It was smart cap management, it showed long-term planning, and it demonstrated that the Lions were thinking about sustained championship windows rather than short-term gains. Everything pointed toward Goff being in Detroit for years to come, leading this team through multiple Super Bowl runs. So why are we even having this conversation? Why would there be any speculation about Jared Goff potentially leaving Detroit when he just signed that massive extension and is playing the best football of his career? The answer is complex and involves factors that go beyond just wins and losses, beyond statistics and contract numbers. We're talking about the nature of modern NFL business, about how quickly situations can change, and about how even the most secure-looking positions can become uncertain when you least expect it. The Lions are 15-2 right now, sitting atop the NFC and looking like legitimate favorites to represent the conference in the Super Bowl. Goff has been phenomenal, making Pro Bowl-caliber plays week after week, showing the poise and leadership that championship quarterbacks possess. The offense is humming, the team chemistry is undeniable, and everything seems perfect on the surface. But in the NFL, perfection is temporary, and the business side of football doesn't always align with the emotional side. There are whispers starting to emerge, conversations happening in league circles, speculation from people who understand how NFL front offices think about long-term roster construction. Some are questioning whether the Lions might consider moving on from Goff sooner than expected, whether that massive contract extension might actually make him more tradable rather than less, and whether the franchise might be positioning itself for a different direction at quarterback. These aren't mainstream narratives yet, but they're gaining traction in places where these kinds of decisions get made. The logic behind such speculation goes something like this. Goff is 30 years old and playing at an elite level, which means his trade value is at its peak. The Lions have a young, talented roster across the board, with rookie contracts still in place for many key contributors. If the organization believes they could upgrade at quarterback, or if they see an opportunity to acquire multiple assets by trading Goff while his value is maximized, the business case could be made. It's cold, it's calculated, and it goes against everything we feel as fans. But it's how NFL front offices sometimes operate. The contract structure itself, while appearing to lock Goff in long term, actually provides the Lions with flexibility if they wanted to explore a trade. The guaranteed money is substantial, but the way it's structured means a trade could be executed without completely crippling the team's cap situation. This isn't to say the Lions are actively shopping Goff or that a trade is imminent, but the financial framework exists for such a move to be possible if the organization decided to go in that direction. Another factor fueling this speculation is the quarterback market itself. We're entering an era where young quarterbacks on rookie contracts provide massive value advantages, where teams are increasingly willing to take chances on developmental prospects rather than paying top dollar for established veterans. If the Lions believe they could find their next franchise quarterback in the draft or through a creative trade, and if they could recoup significant assets by moving Goff, the temptation to explore that option might be stronger than anyone wants to admit. There's also the reality of NFL history. We've seen franchise quarterbacks get traded in situations that seemed unthinkable just months before they happened. Russell Wilson leaving Seattle, Matt Ryan departing Atlanta, even the Stafford-Goff trade itself caught many by surprise. The NFL is a business first and foremost, and loyalty, while valued, doesn't always outweigh what organizations perceive as strategic advantages. The Lions have shown they're willing to make bold moves, and just because Goff has been phenomenal doesn't mean the front office isn't constantly evaluating all options. Now, I want to be absolutely clear about something. There is no indication that the Lions are actually planning to trade Jared Goff. The organization has publicly committed to him, the coaching staff loves him, and he's delivered everything they could have asked for and more. This speculation is based on league dynamics, on understanding how front offices think, and on recognizing that in the NFL, nothing is truly permanent. But speculation and reality are two different things, and right now the reality is that Goff is our quarterback and is leading us toward a potential Super Bowl. The impact of even discussing this possibility, though, is significant for Lions fans. We've been through decades of disappointment, of false hope, of watching our best players leave or retire without championships. Goff has given us something we haven't had in generations: legitimate championship hope, consistent winning, and a quarterback we can truly believe in. The thought of that being disrupted, of having to start over at the most important position in sports, is painful to even consider. But here's the optimistic perspective, and this is important. If the Lions were ever to move on from Goff, it would only be because they believe they can get even better at quarterback. This organization has proven it knows what it's doing, that it can identify talent, and that it can build championship-caliber rosters. If they made such a decision, we'd have to trust that it's part of a larger plan that ultimately benefits the franchise. That's not easy to accept emotionally, but it's the reality of modern NFL fandom. The more likely scenario, in my opinion, is that this speculation remains just that, speculation. Goff has earned the right to be the Lions' quarterback for the duration of his contract. He's delivered wins, he's elevated everyone around him, and he's shown he can perform in the biggest moments. Unless something dramatically changes, unless his performance falls off a cliff, or unless an absolutely unprecedented opportunity presents itself, I believe Goff will be leading this team for years to come. What does all this mean for us as Lions fans right now? It means we should appreciate what we have while we have it. Goff is playing elite football, we're 15-2, and heading toward the playoffs as favorites, and we have a legitimate chance to win our first Super Bowl in franchise history. Rather than worrying about hypothetical scenarios that may never materialize, we should be focused on supporting this team through what could be a historic postseason run. So here's what I want to know from all of you in the Lions faithful. Do you believe Goff has earned the right to be untouchable? Or do you think front offices should always be evaluating all options, regardless of current success? Would you support a decision to trade Goff if it meant acquiring multiple high-value assets, or would you view it as a betrayal of everything he's accomplished here? How much does the business side of football factor into your thinking versus the emotional connection we have with players? And most importantly, do you believe this team can win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff as our quarterback? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I genuinely want to hear how this community feels about such a complex and emotional topic. In conclusion, while speculation about Jared Goff potentially leaving Detroit exists in certain circles, the reality is that he remains our franchise quarterback and is leading us toward potentially historic success. The contract extension he signed demonstrates organizational commitment. His performance on the field has been exceptional, and there's no concrete indication that any change is actually being considered. As fans, our focus should be on supporting this team through what could be a championship season rather than worrying about hypothetical scenarios. Goff has earned our trust, and until something changes dramatically, he deserves our full support as he chases that elusive Super Bowl title. If you want to stay on top of every development regarding the Lions, if you want in-depth analysis of every roster decision, and if you want to be part of the best Lions community on YouTube, you need to subscribe to Lions News Fan Report right now. Hit that subscribe button, smash the notification bell so you never miss an update, and drop a like on this video if you found this analysis valuable. Comment below with your perspective on Goff's future. Share this video with every Lions fan who needs to understand the dynamics at play, and let's build this community together. One pride, let's go Lions, and I'll see you in the next video with more exclusive coverage and analysis.